Manchester United has just drawn with Porto 3-3 in their Europa League. Today's game was absolutely abysmal. Our defense was terrible. The confidence is gone. The team is apparently expecting Ten Hag to be sacked, and honestly, I think he will be. Now, the game started off a little shaky, but then we got a couple of quick goals. Rashford scored one and assisted one, and Højlund scored, which was great. But then Porto scored 3 in a row, and the moment that they tied us, I was like, man, we are going to lose this thing, aren't we? And we were this close to doing that, but then Harry Maguire just scored a goal in the 91st minute to tie things up. But I gotta say, just looking at the body language of these players, like, they can just tell that, Ten Hag's probably gonna go. There was a report that came out yesterday saying that a lot of players were expecting the sack probably in the next week or two, and honestly, I saw that visually, just in the effort that they were putting in, the way that they just crumbled after Porto scored one goal. Our defensive positioning was not good, the game plan wasn't very good. And the man that Ineos and Sir Jim Ratcliffe are going to hold responsible is Erik ten Hag. And, the fact that he put Johnny Evans and Maguire on, he took Rashford off at halftime when he was our best player, and then put Antony on. Like, what the heck's Antony going to do? You might as well just put a water bottle on the field and it's going to do the same thing. Very odd tactics. Now, I know Harry Maguire scored, but I think that was just like a fluke. It's not like there was some master plan Harry Maguire's going to score. Like, no, he just put him on for whatever reason. Bruno Fernandes got another red card. Now, I don't know what's going on with this guy, but he is just being very reckless. Now, I do think the 2 red cards that he got were pretty harsh, but the fact that he's putting himself in these situations is not good. The Spurs one, that's a high boot all day long against Maddison, where he's rubbed against his knee with the bottom of his cleats, and then today, jumps in the air, boot in the air, and I know the Porto defender made a meal of it. He was holding his face and all that when there was actually no contact with his face, but still. Bruno was putting himself in these crazy positions that are going to be controversial and potentially get a red card, which now he's gotten 2. Now, I feel like United's probably going to appeal this one again and probably win that appeal, so he probably will not miss the next match. But that's a lot of probablys. Now, that's a pretty interesting scenario to be in, to get 2 red cards revoked in, just a few days. I don't know if he's just, really stressed out and is just doing crazy stuff to try to win games and is putting himself in these positions, but he needs to chill. Now, if you look at today's stats, we actually weren't that bad, statistically, but if you actually watch the game, we were pretty poor. We started off shaky, we got a couple of goals, we were cruising for a bit, but then Porto got that 1 goal and everything crumbled. And that just shows the mentality of the team right now, we get a goal against us and it's like, oh, well, we tried. And that is a terrible mentality to have in a sport like football. And this season has started off absolutely terribly, and I think Erik ten Hag is going to be sacked by October 7th, right after the Aston Villa game, the day after that, because Aston Villa, they just beat Bayern in the Champions League, and, it's a home game for them. They're going to be super confident. And I think we're going to lose, and then I think Ten Hag is probably going to be sacked on October 7th. Especially if you look at the results of this season so far. Now, I gave him the benefit of a doubt last season because of all the injuries and all that, and I was like, you know what? Get those players back, sign some new players, and I think Ten Hag is going to cook this season. But that has not been the case. Look at these stats, man. The Community Shield we lost. Now, it was penalties, I get it, but Man City played better than us in the actual game. Then we won against Fulham. We lost 2 games in a row. We won 2 games in a row. Then we drew 2. Then we lost 1 and then drew another. Now, mind you, the losses that we've taken are pretty damn bad. It feels like every game we lose, it's like 3-0. And then we're drawing against teams that Man United should be absolutely decimating. So the results have been terrible. Apparently the players expect the manager to get sacked, so they're obviously not going to try their hardest. Picture yourself at a job and your boss is, leaving, or you think your boss is going to get fired or whatever by upper management, and, you're not going to put in 150%, at least I feel like 90% of workers wouldn't. And I think that's what the players are doing right now. All of them don't look as hungry as they should be. Because right now, the media, the fan base, the players, everyone is expecting Erik ten Hag to get sacked. And it is causing a lot of drama right now. You can't have a successful and stable club when your manager is always 1 loss away from being fired. That's what it feels like right now. I think it was Mark Goldbridge that said this first. Literally every game for Ten Hag feels like a final. If he loses it, he's going to lose his job. If he wins it, it's like a lifeline and he can continue working. And that is a terrible mentality for a club, so I hope they get this sorted out. Maybe they get Tuchel, maybe they try to get Nagelsmann over here, I don't know. But I feel like we need a change. Like, it's been 3 years of this, I don't see much of an improvement, even with new signings and players back from injury. I just don't think we're very good under Ten Hag right now. And I think it's going to get a lot worse if we do not get someone in that's new and fresh and brings new ideas and everything. And I feel like we'll get a new manager bounce and hopefully start performing well, because right now, things are not looking good. And if this continues, we're going to be in relegation zone by the end of October. But yeah, guys, that was today's game against Porto. Pretty poor performance. 3-3 was the final score. We were very, very lucky to draw this game. Porto probably should have scored maybe 5 goals against us. And honestly, we got kind of lucky with our first couple of goals because Diogo Costa made some pretty bad mistakes in the near post to let a couple of goals sneak in. But yeah, I am not very happy right now. That was a terrible performance, and I am very, very worried for Aston Villa on the weekend because I think we're going to get battered and Ten Hag's probably sacked the next day. Let me know what you guys thought about today's game down below.